Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to learn about adjective clause. Let us see the comparison between adjectives and adjective clause. An adjective modifies a noun. An adjective clause also modifies a noun. An adjective describes or gives information about the nouns. Similarly, adjective clause, it also describes or gives information about a noun. An adjective usually comes in front of a noun. But in adjective clause, it usually follows a noun. Let us see the examples here. I met a kind man. Kind is an adjective. It comes in front of a noun, man. Kind is an adjective that modifies, that describes the man. The next one. I met a famous man. Famous is an adjective. It modifies or describes the noun man, and it comes in front of the noun man. How about the examples of adjective clause? Let us see examples C, D, and E. C. I met a man who is kind to everybody. So in here, who is kind to everybody is the adjective clause. It describes the noun man. In here, the adjective clause follows the noun. The noun man, and then the adjective clause who is to everybody, who is kind to everybody. Example D. I met a man who is a famous singer. Adjective clause who is a famous singer follows the noun a man. Adjective clause who is a famous singer describe or gives information about the man. I met a man who comes from Chicago. Who comes from Chicago is the adjective clause to describe the noun man, to give information about the noun man. Okay. So, in this sentence, I met a man who is kind to everybody. There are two clauses. Why are they called clauses? Because each part of the sentence, they have subject and verb. I met a man is the main clause, is the independent clause. The subject I, the verb met. And then who is kind to everybody is adjective clause. It is dependent clause. The subject in here, who, and the verb is. Okay, let's see the next one. I met a man who comes from Chicago. The main clause, I met a man. The subject, I, the verb man. The adjective clause, who comes from Chicago, who is the subject, and comes from is the verb. One more. I met boys who come from Chicago. Okay, in here I gave you the example which use plural noun. I met boys who come from Chicago. I is the subject for the main clause and the verb is met. For the adjective clause, the subject is who and the verb come. Now, as I have mentioned previously, I met a man is an independent clause. It is a complete sentence. He comes from Chicago, also an independent clause. It is a complete sentence. But number 3, who comes from Chicago is not independent clause. It is a dependent clause. Why it is a dependent clause? Because it is not a complete sentence. That's why it needs the main clause, I met a man. The full complex sentence is I met a man who comes from Chicago. So in here we have the independent clause I met a man, and we have the dependent clause who comes from Chicago, so we can have the complete sentence. So a clause, please remember, a clause is a structure that has a subject and verb. There are two kinds of clauses. Independent clause, for example, I met a man, and dependent clause. An independent clause is a main clause and that can stand alone as a sentence. As we can see in example 1, I met a man. Example 2, he comes from Chicago. Those independent clauses, they can stand alone. On the other hand, a dependent clause, as we can see in example 3, cannot stand alone as a sentence. It must be connected to an independent clause. It needs the independent clause. For example, in this case, the independent clause is I met a man. So that we can make the complete sentence, as we can see in example 4. I met a man who comes from Chicago. Okay, we will continue the discussion by using who and that in adjective clause to describe people. Yeah, so in adjective clause, to combine the independent clause and the dependent clause, we are going to use connectors, who for people, with for things, and we can also use that. Yeah, we will see other connectors on the next slides. But now we are going to discuss about who and that in adjective clause to describe people. Example A, the man is friendly. He lives next to me. So first we have two sentences. The man is friendly, he lives next to me. Now we are going to combine this. So we are going to make adjective clause. In here we can use who. Okay, by the way, the man is friendly, he lives next to me. He is the subject, lives is the verb. Okay, one more time. We will insert the connector who. The question word who. Who lives next to me? So the sentence will be the man who lives next to me is friendly. An adjective clause who and that are used as subject pronouns to describe people. In example A, he is the subject pronoun. He refers to the man. To make an adjective clause, we will change he to who. As we can see in example B. Who is a subject pronoun? He refers to the man. Yeah. Who, one more time. Who is a subject pronoun that changes he, yeah, and it refers to the man. Okay, now example C. The girl is talkative. She lives next to me. She is the subject, lives is the verb. We are going to make adjective clause by using connector who or that. Who lives next to me or that lives next to me. So the sentence now will become the girl who lives next to me is talkative. Or the girl that lives next to me is talkative. That is also a subject pronoun and can replace who, as you can see in example D. Now, in here, the subject pronouns who and that cannot be omitted from the adjective clause. So it will be incorrect if you write down the woman lives next to me is talkative. No, in this sentence, yeah, the adjective clause for subject pronoun cannot omit who or that. So you have to make it into the woman who lives next to me is talkative, or the woman that lives next to me is talkative. In example B and D, we can also see that the adjective clause immediately follows the noun it modifies. So it will be incorrect if you write down the woman is talkative that lives next to me. No, we cannot put that lives next to me at the end of the sentence. It should be directly right after the noun. Right after the noun, the woman. So it will be the woman that lives next to me is talkative. Or the woman who lives next to me is talkative. Okay, let's see the next slide. Using object pronouns in adjective clause to describe people. In adjective clause, pronouns are used as the object of a verb to describe people. For example, A. The man was friendly. I met him. I, the subject, met is the verb, and the object is him. In A, him is the object pronoun. Him refers to the man. Now we are going to change it into adjective clause. The man that I met was friendly. That comes at the beginning of an adjective clause. In here, that replace the object pronoun him. An object pronoun can be omitted from an adjective clause, as we can see in C. The man I met was friendly. An object pronoun can be omitted from an adjective clause, because this is talking about object pronoun, as we can see in C. The man I met was friendly. For object pronoun, you don't have to write down, or you can omit the connector that. Him can also be changed to who or whom, as we can see in E and F. And so from the man was friendly, I met him. We will change him into who or whom. So it will become the man who I met was friendly, or the man whom I met was friendly. As in object pronoun, that is more common than who in speaking. Whom is generally used only in formal. Let us talk about using pronouns in adjective clause to describe things. Example A. The river is polluted. It flows through the town. In this part, we can see it is the subject, flows is the verb. Now we are going to make adjective clause by using connector that or which, because this is talking about things. So it will be the river that flows through the town is polluted. In adjective clause that flows through the town, that is the subject, flows is the verb. And in example C, the river which flows through the town is polluted. In the adjective which flow through the town, which is the subject and flows is the verb. Okay, in example D, we are going to see plural noun. The books were expensive. I bought them. I is the subject, but with the verb, and them is object. Okay, now we are going to use that or which, yeah, as an object in an adjective clause, as we can see in E and F. The books that I bought were expensive. In here, that replace the object them, yeah, or the object pronoun them. In F, the books which I bought were expensive, which in here replace the object pronoun them. An object pronoun can be omitted from an adjective clause, as we can see in G. The books I bought were expensive. E, F, and G have the same meaning. In speaking, that, or example G, yeah, that example E or the example G are more common than which. In writing, that is the most common. Okay, now in this slide, let's see about singular and plural forms in adjective clause. Yeah, be careful. I know the man who is sitting over there. So you can see in here the noun singular, the man. The verb in the adjective clause is singular because who refers to a singular noun, man. Example B. I know the people who are sitting over there. The verb in the adjective clause are is plural because who refers to the plural noun, people. Okay, I give you one more example. Listen carefully. I know the man who lives with S, yeah, who lives next door, yeah, because one more time, lives in here refer to the man, a singular noun. Yeah, that's why I use one more time lives. I know the man who lives next door. But if we are going to describe plural noun, so the sentence will be I know the people who lives. Oh, sorry. I know the people who live without S. I know the people who live next door. I hope you can see the difference, yeah? If we use the singular noun, the verb should be agrees with that noun. Should be suitable with the singular. I know the man who lives with S, who lives next door. And then for the plural, I know the people who live without S, who live next door. Okay, now we are going to see using preposition in adjective clause. That, whom, and which can be used as the object of a preposition in adjective clause. The man was nice. I talked to him. And here we can see the preposition to. And the object for the preposition, him. The adjective clause will become the man that I talked to was nice. An object pronoun can be omitted from an adjective clause, as we can see in C. The man I talked to was nice. Yeah, one more time, because this is about object pronoun. Okay. Now, because about object pronoun, you can also use whom. The man whom I talked to was nice. You can also say the man to whom I talked was nice. In very formal English, a preposition comes at the beginning of an adjective clause, followed by either whom or which, as we can see in E. But this is not common in spoken English. Yeah, example E is common for very formal. Let's continue. Example F. The chair is hard. I'm sitting in it. the preposition in, the object in. Okay, we are going to see the adjective clauses in G until J. G. The chair that I am sitting in is hard. Okay. Besides using that, you can also use which, or because this is about object pronoun, you can omit that or which. Example 8. Without that or without it, which. The chair I am sitting in is hard. Now we are going to use which. The chair which I'm sitting in is hard. And example J is the very formal form. The chair in which I'm sitting in, the chair in which I'm sitting is hard. G, H, I, and J have the same meaning. Okay, we are going to see using whose in adjective clause. Whose shows possession. The man called the police. His car was stolen. In A, his car, it means whose car, his car can be changed to whose car to make an adjective clause. So we can see in B, the man whose car was stolen called the police. In B, whose car was stolen is the adjective clause. C, I know a girl, her brother is a movie star. In C, her brother can be changed to whose brother to make an adjective clause. I know a girl whose brother is a movie star. E, the people were friendly. We bought their house. In E, their house can be changed to whose house to make an adjective clause. The people whose house we bought were friendly. Okay, let's try to do this exercise. Number 1, the man blah 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 is an undercover police officer. We are going to use his car was stolen. The man whose car was stolen is an undercover police officer. One more. The man is an undercover police officer. He invited us to his party. The man who invited us to his party is an undercover police officer. Okay, you can continue the next C until F by yourself. Okay, that's all for today about adjective clause. Hopefully it will be beneficial. I'm sorry if there are some mistakes. Have a nice day, everyone. Stay happy and healthy. Bye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.